What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Tuesday morning episode of the Daily Juice Podcast. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all socials at Sports Talk Matt for July the 30th. Today is my daughter's 10th birthday. So to celebrate, I'm not betting anything that I can lose money on today. After what happened last night with the Pirates in that under, a 3-run home run in the top of the 9th inning, still 5-2. Bases loaded. I mean, your closer comes in. He's facing Alvarez. I get it. Really scary. One pitch, one swing, game over. You lose the game. You walk in a run. 5-3 the final. Game was a dead under. First 5 under. Better bet, right? I mean, we got the Royals right. I got that game right. I got the Pirates to win the game. I was right to bet the Pirates late. I got that before the game started because the move came on the Astros. It was too good of a price at minus 130 not to take the Pirates. But with the ease of the prop bets that came in, Asia Wilson easily over 20.5. Chelsea Gray had 6 assists way before halftime, like halfway through the second quarter. We got both those prop bets so easy. The fact that we wind up losing any money yesterday was ridiculous. I mean, a 2-1 record, but we win a unit thanks to the prop bets, and then the under comes in at minus 115, and we lose 1.5 units to start the week. I'm done losing money in July, okay? This is a couple of things people have asked me over the course of July, like, does it bother you that you're losing in getting killed in baseball? I hate betting baseball. I am 100% anti-betting baseball. I hate it. I hate the month of July. In fact, like, people have said, Matt, just take the month off. I can't take the month off. You guys know this, right? That's how this podcast works. So when I go on vacation, and I'm on vacation for 2 weeks, and I got drilled during July on vacation, that's just the nature of this, okay? You tell me another job in America where you do it 365 days a year without any breaks, no vacation, no holiday, none. This podcast never stops. We're going on 4 years. Another guy came in and did it and couldn't handle it. Didn't want to do it. So he left. They brought me back. That's just facts. This is not easy, okay? Doing this every single night, changing my parenting, changing my relationships, changing going out. This is all very hard, okay? So just so when people say betting baseball is easy, it fires me up when you say that. If it's so easy, why are you watching this podcast? Why not just bet baseball and retire? Betting baseball is so simple. Why do you watch this? Why do you listen to this? Go bet baseball every night. Retire. Go have a summer home. Like, what do you need me for? Bet against me. Okay, I would have set you up. You would be going well betting against me in baseball. Hopefully most of you have done that with baseball, given how unlucky and how bad July has been. But I will say this. Last year at this time, I was in a very similar spot. And then in August and September, I wound up 1 unit because I did much better in August, much better in September. The playoffs started and things got, it became a whole lot less inconsistent. Became a whole lot more predictable, became a whole lot more when you do your research and the numbers pan it out, you go, okay, games like last night, don't go over. Games like last night, stay under. Because you don't get a 3-run home run in the top of the 9th inning from a scrub. It's the first time a guy off the bench had stolen a base and hit a home run for the Pirates since 1993. 1993 was the last time that happened. So when those things are going on, when those wonky, crazy things are, it's just like a message of like, look, bet everything else, just don't bet baseball. Well, I have to bet baseball because some nights I have no choice, but I have to bet every single day. So, I'm not here to complain or whine, and I want to absolutely rip the throats out of you, some of you guys in the comment section. Like I would love, I occasionally clap back, but for a lot of you guys, I would hunt you down and literally make you say what you say to me to my face. But that's just the way this thing goes. The podcast was designed back in July of 2020 for an everyday experiment to see what would happen if we bet every single day and built a community of people that knew a podcast was going to be there for them every single day. And I know those of you who really do bet understand why I'm pissed off tonight. Like, you get why I'm mad and you get why I'm frustrated, because I am mad and I am frustrated. And I do hit this point every once in a while when you're like, wow, you're losing money. Yup. Thank you for being Captain Obvious. But I've always said this. I get paid to do this. I will never be in the red. I am always in the black. Always. I'm different than you guys. I'm lucky to have this position. I'm lucky to have this job. I'm lucky to work for BettingPros. I love working for this company. I love doing this podcast. I love the Discord channel. I love the community we have built. I love the fact that we have over 14 million listens in 4 years of just the audio. We have millions of views on YouTube since this podcast began. And we got plans for bigger and better things to grow and to expand and do different things. But my natural indication, my teaching, my talent, if you want to call it that, is I am a sports talk show host. So I'm going to rant and I'm going to say these things. And if you don't like it, don't listen and don't watch. This is a free podcast. Do you understand what free means? You are free to go do something else. Seriously, okay? You are free to go spend your energy somewhere else. Not in the comment section, not in my DMs. I don't need any of it. I really don't. It doesn't create a good situation. It doesn't create anything. All it does is make me more angry, because most of you haters would never have the guts to say anything to my face. Because most of you are really 12-year-olds in a lot of ways who are going to comment and just want to see me react. So I don't give it to you. I don't comment. That's fine. So it's a long story short way of telling you that 10 years ago today, my daughter was born and changed everything for me, changed my life in such incredible ways. And she said to me yesterday, she goes, today is the last day that I'll be single digits. That's true, right? I don't remember turning 9 or turning 10 or turning 11 or turning 12. I don't remember any of that. She hopefully will. And we're going to have a fun day today. So in celebration of that, I thought, okay, let's do college football futures for the first time in the summer. Let's do it today. Let's do it tomorrow. Let's close out July and let's just put it to bed and move on to August. Because on August the 1st, we have a football game to talk about and bet on in the Hall of Fame game. Amazingly enough, football is here. Do I bet preseason football? You bet your bottom dollar I do. I can't wait to bet football, any football, fake football, but still football, and bet it. And I'll bet Team USA, both men's and women's basketball. I may bet the golf. There's different things I'll pick and play on the Olympics, but I'm not betting rowing. I'm not betting rugby. I'm not betting the marathon. I'm not betting anything dumb like that. But there is pro football to go ahead and talk about. So, look at trends and things like that we'll talk about on Thursday. So to get us to Thursday, to get us to the Hall of Fame game, I'm going to do college football futures, 2 of them tonight, 2 of them tomorrow. And since it is my daughter's birthday, the place I moved back from, the state of Iowa, is going to be the focus of these 2 picks here today from a college football futures standpoint. Let's start with Iowa. Now, you can find 8 or 8.5 from a win total perspective for the Hawkeyes. Couple of really cool things jump out when you look at Iowa and you look at Iowa's schedule, all right? Iowa opens up at home against Illinois State. They have the Cy-Hawk series where they have won 7 of 8 over Iowa State. They play Troy at home. They're on the road at Minnesota. They're at Ohio State. They play Washington back at home, Michigan State at home, on the road, Northwestern for homecoming, Wisconsin for the blackout game, UCLA in the Rose Bowl, which is going to be full of Hawkeye fans there, Maryland on the road, and then Nebraska on Senior Day, which they're now calling the Pioneer Heroes game, which is okay. They don't play Michigan, although how good will Michigan be? They don't play Oregon. They don't play the teams you might go, well, Iowa was picked 5th in the Big Ten, but Iowa could be a sneaky, sleepy team to go, 11-1? It's not crazy. Go through the schedule. FanDuel has this at 8.5 wins at plus 160. They're going to win over Illinois State. They've beaten Iowa State, and they have Iowa State at Kinnick. They've beaten them 7 of 8. I think it'll go 8 of 9. They'll beat Troy. I think they'll beat PJ Fleck, and they'll beat Minnesota on the road. They'll lose to Ohio State, obviously. Ohio State's going to be the best team in the Big Ten, maybe the best team in the country. Okay, so one of. Washington is not good. They're bringing back, I believe it's 2 starters. I believe they have, not I believe I know, they have an entirely new coaching staff for their first trek into the Big Ten. They're going to Kinnick Stadium, Washington, going to Kinnick Stadium in October. Good luck. I mean, good luck. That's a really, really tough game for Washington. They go to take on Michigan State, and look, Iowa always plays well against Michigan State. That's a dead under game. Bet that under right now. I mean, that's 30 points, right? That's typical Iowa football. They'll win by 3. Iowa wins that game. Iowa will beat Northwestern because, well, Northwestern doesn't really go to Kinnick Stadium and it's homecoming. Iowa wins that game. I've got one loss here as we head to Wisconsin on the road where they might lose that game. I mean, there's a question mark there. But then they take on a UCLA team that in the Big Ten, can they play smash mouth football with how bad they've been recently? They have a new head coach who didn't really sound great at Big Ten football media days. I like Iowa to win that game. I think they could lose to Maryland and they could lose to Nebraska. But I think a 9-3 season is really, really possible. I mean, I think Nebraska is a team, we're going to talk about them tomorrow, but Nebraska is a team we got to talk about. But to win 9 games, I call them 8-4 Ferentz, okay? Kirk Ferentz, 8-4 Ferentz. And if you want to take 8 wins and just go -110 and that's it, I don't mind that at all to sit there with Iowa. But I'm going to roll the dice here and say they win 9. I'm going to go to FanDuel. I'm going to bet the +160 and go over. It's kind of like an alt total, but not really. You can get 8. 8s are out there, but 8.5 at FanDuel at +160 to go 9-3. I think Iowa does it. I think Iowa with Cade McNamara, they have a brand new offensive coordinator, so they're bringing in a guy who should be able to get this offense at least moving forward in the right direction. I don't know if Tim Lester is going to come in and set the world on fire, but anybody could be better than Brian Ferentz, okay? I mean, their defense has been too good. What is Iowa good at? Iowa's good at tight ends, running the football, offensive line, and linebackers. That's Iowa football, okay? And it's just going to be a typical year for Iowa. I just think this team, I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but I think they'll be in the conversation for the playoffs if the Big Ten were to get 4 teams in. And if Iowa goes 10-2 or 11-1, it's not crazy that the Big Ten gets 4 teams in. Ohio State, Oregon, and then it's Penn State, Iowa. Those are your 4 that could get in my opinion. So this schedule is very conducive for Iowa. Having Nebraska at home, having Iowa State at home, you have a trip to Columbus, which is going to be tough. You'll lose that game to Ohio State, but you don't play Oregon. You play UCLA. You don't play a ton of the Pac-12 teams coming in. Or you play 2 of them, I guess, but both Washington at home and UCLA on the road. You're not playing USC. You're not playing Oregon. I mean, that's big to me to not have those, the better of the 4. You're playing the 2 weak teams coming over from the Pac-12 into the Big Ten. Michigan State's a road trip, but Michigan State is a team that Iowa should go and win. Northwestern's at home. Wisconsin's at home. You're not going to jump around. You're not going to have a deal with that. On the road to Wisconsin, you're at home for that game. You should win that game in the blackout game. It should be a night game, most likely, in November. I like over 8.5 wins, +160. Iowa. I always bet more than 1 unit, but because I am always conservative, I tell you guys officially it's a 1-unit play. I will bet more than 1 unit on this for sure. I like Iowa over 8.5 wins at +160 at FanDuel. Second bet, and we're going to stay in the state, and we're going to go right to Iowa State. Look it. This is a sleepy team that you got to pay attention to. A lot of people aren't talking about Iowa State, okay? But they should. Rocco Beck was a guy who got forced to play last year because of the scandal with the gambling. And yet, this kid comes in and impressed some things. Matt Campbell has had a winning year 6 of his last 7 seasons, had a tough start, had all that investigation, a weird season, and now they have a chance to potentially go here and make some noise. This offense needs to run the football. They should be able to run the football much better than they did last year. Iowa State's offensive line should be good, and having Rocco Becht as a playmaker who could really get going, huge bowl game against Memphis. The receivers are good, are really good. They got some weapons on the outside. The defense should be pretty good. Iowa State's defense should be really good. Remember, Texas and Oklahoma, they're gone from the Big 12, which is massive. They have an experienced secondary. I mean, Iowa State, look, they can't turn the football over, okay? They got to be good. They got a place kicker worth talking about that could, have a couple of game-winning kicks. I can't wait to watch this Cyclone schedule, to watch this Cyclone team. I think this is a team that's going to be better than people think. The win total is 7.5, okay? So let's go over it. They play North Dakota State at home. They play Iowa, then a bye week, okay? Then they play Arkansas State. Then they play at Houston. Now, the road games are at Houston, at West Virginia, at Kansas, at Utah. They only play 4 road games, okay? And the Kansas game is at Arrowhead. It's not in Lawrence. Iowa State fans love going to Kansas City. Love it. Going to Arrowhead, they've played there before. They're actually 0-3 all time in games at Arrowhead Stadium, but they've all been non-conference games, or I think they played Kansas State there once, and they've lost them all by 1 possession. So, typical Iowa State football. But all we need is 8-4. 8-4. So let's just say they lose against Iowa on the road too. I forgot about the Iowa game too. But conference games only 4. They should beat Kansas at Kansas. They should beat Houston at Houston. Let's just give those 2. And let's say they lose at West Virginia, they lose at Utah, and they lose at Iowa. Okay? Those are 3 losses. At home, North Dakota, do they win that game? Yes. Okay, yes. Arkansas State? Yes. Baylor at home? They should. They should beat Baylor at home. UCF at home? Yes. They should beat UCS at home. Texas Tech? Yes. They should beat Texas Tech at home. Cincinnati at home? Yes. They should beat Cincinnati at home. And Kansas State at home? They should beat Kansas State at home. I mean, their road games are tough. I mean, Iowa's a tough road game, but that's always an interesting one, right? Flip of the coin. Iowa State can win that game, and it would help this bet. They play each other. One of our teams that we're talking about here, guaranteed win. So they're going to get 1 win there. So that's huge. So one of these 2 teams, either Iowa or Iowa State, will open up 2-0. I just think when you look at the offense, you look at last year, you look at Matt Campbell, his contract, his stability, and the fact that we have 7.5 wins, we can lose 4 games and still win this bet. They can lose at Iowa. They can lose at West Virginia. They can lose at Utah. And then we have one other game to play with at home that they can lose. And we still cash the bet. They can lose at home to Texas Tech. They could lose at home to Baylor. They could lose at Houston. And it's still an 8-4 season. I mean, I think this win total of 7.5 for Iowa State is massive. It's minus 115 or minus 110. I found minus 110. FanDuel's got 115. I found a minus 110 here in Vegas. I think this Iowa State team people are sleeping on. I think they have a chance. They don't play Arizona. They don't play Arizona State. They don't play BYU. They don't play Colorado. They don't play Oklahoma State. They don't play TCU. I mean, teams Iowa State normally would struggle with. Look, the Utah game is going to be brutal, okay? Utah is probably going to win the Big 12, okay? Utah is going to be a really tough team to watch and play against, and especially on the road to go to Salt Lake to play Utah. Good luck. But other than that, I mean, they've gone and won these games. Yes, West Virginia's going to be tough. I'll give you that, okay? But you look at the schedule and you're like, all right, they lose to Iowa, which I think that they will. But after that, they could win every game on their schedule but Utah. I mean, it's not nuts if they went 10-2. Like, quarterback play should be up. Wide receiver play should be up. The running game should be back. The defense should be good. No Texas, no Oklahoma. Give me Iowa State over 7.5 wins at -115. I think the Hawkeye State's going to have a great football year. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch these two teams. And yes, they play each other every year in the Cyhawk game, but I think both teams are going over. Iowa State over 8.5. Iowa over 8.5 wins at +160 at FanDuel for 1 unit, and Iowa State over 7.5 wins at -110 for 1 unit. Again, I bet more than 1 unit on futures, but you guys can do whatever you feel comfortable with on this. It's just what I do. I give out 1 unit plays. I don't talk about, my play of the month or my play of the week or my triple dog dare beat your bookie nonsense. I don't do any of that. I just give you 1 unit plays. You can bet whatever you feel comfortable with, but I just think over 8.5 wins. Iowa to go 9-3, Iowa State to go 8-4. I think those are very, very likely outcomes for this college football season for these two football teams. And I really can't wait to watch the Cyhawk game in week 2 on September the 7th. It's going to be awesome. Both these teams play in week 1 on August the 31st. They don't play any week 0 games. So we are basically exactly 1 month away from the start of the season for these two teams. And I think Cade McNamara, I think Rocco Becht, I think we got quarterback play in the state. Iowa's offense should be better. Iowa State's offensive line and their whole running game should be better this year. I think it's going to be fun. I think this is going to be a really, really fun season. There are 2 bye weeks in this. Texas Tech is homecoming for Iowa State. They have a bye week before that, which is huge. The Arkansas State, if they lose to Iowa, they have a week off to kind of lick their wounds and get ready to go for Arkansas State, which is gigantic. But that Texas Tech homecoming game, that's going to be huge. Kansas at Arrowhead, I think they win that game. That's going to be a fun football game, though. And then home for Cincinnati, home for Kansas State, sandwiched in between a Utah trip, which would be really difficult. Over 7.5 Iowa State, over 8.5 Iowa, +160 on the Iowa bet, and -115 for the bet here. Tomorrow, we'll have 2 more college football plays for us here as we roll. Should be a lot of fun. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all socials at Sports Talk Matt every morning. Daily Juice Podcast being brought to you by BettingPros.com.